Tens of thousands of people are being caught up in the unfolding crisis in the Central African Republic. Rival rebel groups are fighting for control of the country. So who exactly are these rebel groups then? Well, the Seleka rebels, they're mainly Muslim and they've launched an anti-government offensive last December. They quickly made their way to the capital Bangui, where they seized power. In March this year, Michel Diotia was named president. However, Diotia says he no longer has control over Seleka fighters who've been integrated into the army. There is now evidence the rebels from the mostly Christian anti-Balaka, which means anti-machete, have begun their own uprising. 200,000 people have fled their homes to escape the violence. Many people believe the anti-Balaka is funded by former President Francois Bozize in an attempt to take power again. Nazreen Mushiri sent us this exclusive report from Boar in the far west of the country.
Soldiers from Chad arrive here too late. Most of the people who used to live in this burned village are now hiding in the bush. Locals say members of Seleka, who are now part of government forces, targeted them as they searched for a group of rebels calling themselves anti-Balaka.
After burning our houses, they took our cows to slit their throats and goats to eat them in their base.
But local Seleka commanders say it was a bushfire and not them that burned the village. They show us where anti-Balaka fighters allegedly attacked their base last month with AK-47s and mortars. They say they defeated more than 1,000 rebels, but they can't explain why only 4 of their soldiers and 8 anti-Balaka men died. We're told these are pictures of the dead rebels, dressed in military uniforms with green ribbons and local charms around their necks. These former rebels are facing a rebellion of their own. It's not clear whether their enemy is a group of young, disorganized people or if they are well armed and disciplined and loyal to the former president. Francois Bozize was toppled in a coup in March. Several members of his army went on the run. Some people here say the former president is funding anti-Balaka in an attempt to retake power.
Most of anti-Balaka are members of former President Bozize's army. I've seen them myself. There were around 30 of them. 8 had bows and arrows, and the rest Kalashnikovs.
The rise of anti-Balaka has complicated the situation here. Seleka are mainly Muslim and anti-Balaka mostly Christian. There is a fear that this could turn into a religious conflict. Piotr Michalik is a monk who spent 20 years helping people here. He says enough is enough.
Never has this country been so humiliated and devastated by this rebellion, this crisis. We've seen regular, systematic and sustained looting. We've never seen anything like it.
Anti-Balaka rebels are on the move again. Some say they're heading east. Whether they're vigilantes or former soldiers intent on taking power, everyone here is certain they will strike again. Nazanin Mashiri, Al Jazeera, Boar, Western Central African Republic.
Let's speak to Sheila Muwanga Nabachwa now, as the Vice President for the International Federation of Human Rights. Joins us live from Paris. Good to have you with us. Do you think it's time now for an international force to be sent to the CAR and try and impose some order before we end up with even bigger massacres, or perhaps some are saying even a genocide?
Thank you very much. The time for the international community to actually act was yesterday. We are already seeing the death toll is going high, the internal displacement is unbelievable. We see that a number of citizens from CAR are actually moving into neighboring countries. And we have seen rape and killing, indiscriminate arrests, looting. So I think that the time for the international community to actually act was yesterday, and it should be done very fast.
Are you concerned that a lot of the international attention and focus seems to be on the Seleka? And if international intervention comes in that context, might that contribute rather than undermine the cycle of continuous violence of one group getting the upper hand, trying to put down the other group, and it just goes on and on and on?
I think that the international attention should be to all the warring parties. We have the Seleka, we have the anti-Balaka. The international community should focus on both of them, because I think both are guilty in terms of committing crimes, in terms of committing human rights violations. The focus should actually be on how to bring all the warring parties together, first to disarm each of them, but also to ensure that there is protection of the citizens, but also 3, we need to bring together the parties, including civil society organizations and the public, to actually discuss the crisis in Central African Republic.
What about impunity? Is there a role here for the ICC, perhaps, to start investigating some of the crimes that you were mentioning there?
Yes, from our mission as the FIDH, we're actually classifying some of these crimes as crimes against humanity. The element around rape, the element about murder, but also we are seeing an uprising, an intersectarian conflict between the Catholics and the Muslims as well. So definitely we hope that the International Criminal Court and the UN Security Council will take interest into this matter and investigate some of these crimes that are already being committed.
All right, thanks so much for your thoughts. Now let's see what else is brewing with the weather, and over to